Netflix is in this situation where it has a pretty easy time making Stranger Thingses, but it has a very, very hard time making big blockbusters, which we'll get back to. So it also needs huge amounts of IP, most likely, to continue training the AI that it is alluded to having. So basically, by buying Warner Brothers, they can suddenly massively improve the training data set for their IP, or AI, excuse me.
Yeah. Can I just say something here? Which is the whole thing is so massively, to me, as a person in the creative fields and a maker of fiction, so massively frustrating to me because they also don't allow anything. They won't even give anything a shot. I mean, let's look at the massive, insane, like preposterous, over the top success of K-pop Demon Hunters, right? A movie that would be successful IP had they put any effort into it, but they buried its release. And then like after it was the most popular movie on the planet Earth for like 3 months, they gave it like a very perfunctory theatrical release, but they hadn't even like sold the toy rights. They'd done none of like the IP things. And it's like these companies are just not invested or interested in all in like how do you get you can make new IP, you can do it, you can make stuff that is popular if you let creative people work, and they just refuse to do it because it doesn't exist at the margins that tech stocks do, so that they don't understand it.
But if we just keep betting that in a few years we can just have AI do it, then it'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
You could have T-A-I-L-L girl, Tail Girl.
Tail Girl.
Tail Girl.
Yeah.
Tail Girl, yeah.
That's another. Okay, so
when we said this was the TF Rice's room, we really weren't joking.
So Paramount's claim.
We're just throwing ideas around.
Yeah. So Paramount has claimed that Netflix is, they take this with a grain of salt, that Netflix, HBO combined would control 30 to 40% of the global streaming markets. Remember, HBO is owned by Warner Brothers. Netflix argues that it faces significant competition, just not from other studios, but from like TikTok, and that they need to do this to compete with TikTok, essentially, and like, I don't know, sleep.
Yeah, their competition is the dishwasher because you're unloading the dishes. Like that's the, you know.
Yeah, and what's insanely obvious, of course, was already said by Representative Pramila Jayapal, who frequently comments on antitrust matters. It would mean more price hikes, more ads, more cookie cutter content, less creative control for artists, and lower pay for workers all around. And that is obvious. Every single gigantic media consolidation in the last, 100 years has largely meant that. The only thing that reversed that trend was pretty significant and excellent worker organization in the creative industries. So there are a few stories here as far as I'm concerned. Number one, the enormous record-breaking debt-fueled acquisition boom continues apace at a time when more companies are saying since 2009, which is cool. Number two, Netflix's journey to dominance will hurt everybody, especially people working in the sector, especially because it will try to put AI in everything / put everything in AI. And that will essentially like kill the movie theater as anything but a luxury destination for people who live in prestigious cities. And three, David Ellison's competing Paramount bid is being led by him and his father as Coen Brothers characters who are utterly useless. So a little background about Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Discovery, as it now is known, was taken over by David Zaslav in 2022. Zaslav built his empire on shitty reality TV, 90 Day Fiancé, Naked and Afraid, these kinds of things. But which basically, he's been this kind of shitty company for ages. He's been like a sort of dead-eyed corporate, like he started as a corporate lawyer, again, for ages. And he just cynically just took this over and was like, we're going to churn out the crappiest reality TV as pap.
No one who's a corporate lawyer could be a cynical man.
Yeah. So, but as we've alluded to earlier, Warner Brothers has gone through huge numbers of mergers through the years. Time Magazine, AT&T, AOL, was AT&T Time Warner most recently. And they tried to make themselves, because AT&T was trying to make themselves movie moguls, but like they aren't a movie studio, so they weren't able to just like buy Oscars, which was an astonishing, weird decision for them to make. And this is part of them being like, just joking, we're going to go back to being a communications company only. Kidding. Oh, got ya. And so they own the film studio and a streaming business, which are successful. A number of cable channels, including CNN, which are money pits. But it's not shitty in terms of making movies people want to watch. Warner Brothers isn't exactly struggling in terms of getting people to watch movies and pay for them. Barbie, Dune, Minecraft, Superman, one battle after another, the Final Destination series, Sinners, Weapons, The Conjuring, F1. All of that's Warner Brothers. All of that's the last couple of years. They've actually weirdly had kind of a generational run, which ordinarily wouldn't cause a company to be sold. That's the kind of company that buys other companies, not the kind of company that basically strip mines itself for parts. But Zaslav he's a private equity guy. He thinks like a private equity guy. That's what he does. So he's like, hey, we're up for sale. Who wants to eat our corpse?
It's not even a corpse. It's not a corpse.
I love to enter the room and be like, well, I'm cooked. Who wants my stuff? And it's just like thriving 90 heart rate, nothing wrong with me. Like perfect blood pressure.
Yeah, just received great news.
Yeah, I found out I'm not an immortal Dracula style creature who wants to eat my corpse. It's like because you're not experiencing like hockey stick growth forever, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all these people know about or understand, which is again, as we sound the since 2008 klaxon 45 times an episode here. Like that's also not how it works. It's not going to work with tech forever that way. And it's for some reason the only way these people understand the world. And it is so like I've been at a media company that expects that when I was like working for a nonfiction comics website that had a lot of readers and we could have been sustainable, but they were just like, well, you're not going to be increasing your numbers over time always to make billions a year. So we're not interested in you anymore.
And comics. Like, the comics aren't making billions?
Nonfiction comics. And like, you know, it's that thing where there's this every so often this Michael Shore quote that goes around that he was talking about. It was an interview he gave from the picket line in the last writer's strike, where it was like this idea that the people that ran these studios used to be evil and cynical and greedy, but they had an understanding that they were like, there was like the cultural cachet of being the movie man. And now that's gone completely. And it's all these tech guys who only understand like they come from a world where the product is not the product is the stock, right? That's all they understand, and they're not interested in being the movie man. They just see it as another fucking corpse to be bought and sold.
Yeah, whereas I think David Ellison does desperately want to be like Don Simpson. He wants to be a movie man. That's because he knows
Tom Cruise from Skydance.
That's right.
And Tom Cruise has gotten his fucking movie disease into him, which is fine and cool.
Getting Tom Cruise toxoplasmosis that makes me want to like do movies and makes me less afraid of doing stunts in which I will die.
Yeah, like and like as a movie person, like as a person who likes movies, as a cinephile, as a real movie cinephile over here, as the sort of Greg Turkington of Trash Future, I don't know, like I feel like I would rather have the Ellisons buy it because they have some, you know, microscopic amount of wanting to be the movie, of wanting to be fucking, you know, Louis B. Mayer in them, like a little bit, right? Like whereas Netflix is just like, we're going to get rid of theaters, by the way.
Well, they promised they wouldn't, and whenever a big merger deal happens and the purchasing company promises they won't change anything big about the company they're purchasing, they always stick to it forever.
Right, and like, you know, and under the Ellisons, like CNN probably becomes a mouthpiece for the fascist administration, but I'm just kind of like, well, it won't really make that much of a fucking difference, will it actually? Like, it's not like CNN was doing the good work out here.
So David Ellison has made some announcements as to how he wants to run Warner Brothers, which we will get to.
Oh, good.
Okay, Batman's going to be in Mission Impossible. Think about
it. Pretty good. But yeah, I'd say this deal is old time movie magic. Paramount, Skydance basically saying like they were seen initially as, well, this is our deal to lose. Like we think we're in with a chance because we have the administration connections. We have the infinite money of my dad behind us who wants me to have like a special birthday. And, you know, when you're 42, you need like a little help. You know, what 42-year-old ever bought a major motion picture studio without like a little help from their parents? I'm just glad he's being upfront about it. But it's meant that David Ellison and his father, Larry, visited David Zaslav at his home 3 times, each time making a new hire offer and each time being rebuffed. And it seemed like there was nothing they could do to get David Zaslav on board, partly because David Ellison is like a world historically unappealing person to spend any time with. And David Zaslav would still work at whatever the new company is. Like that's very explicit in the contract. This issue escalated. Paramount says it chased Warner Brothers for months with ever richer bids, personal appeals, private dinners, only to be stonewalled every time. A person close to the company said, quote, Paramount was being gaslit from start to finish. No matter what answers Paramount provided, Warner kept finding excuses to say it wasn't enough and then just started ghosting us. I now have a number of texts sent by David Ellison to David Zaslav. Just tried calling you about the new bid we've submitted. I heard you on all your concerns and believe we've addressed them in our new proposal. Give me a call back when you can and we can discuss in detail. No response. Dived. David, spelled wrong. I appreciate you're underwater today, so I wanted to send you a quick text. No, despite the noise of the last 24 hours, I have nothing but respect and admiration for you and your company. No response. It would be the honor of a lifetime to be your partner and to be the owner of these iconic assets with you. If we have the privilege to work together, you will see that my father and I are the exact same people you had dinner with. No response. Oh boy.
This is kind of sad now.
Yeah.
Parasocial relationships can strike at any time.
Also, it's like Larry Ellison has no official role at Skydance, no official role at Paramount, but it's like, no, it will be me and my dad, of course. Anyway, Ellison followed up one more time saying Paramount had offered a package that covered all the issues Warner had raised, and including the need for strong cash value and the speed to close. Because basically, Paramount has the Ellison's money behind it and connections to the administration. So they were like, we will not need to wait. We won't need to, Warner Brothers shareholders won't need to wait to get paid. This is when Netflix arrives in the scene.